So, Dr. Palud, can you tell me what a forensic anthropologist does?
A forensic anthropologist essentially is using the methods of biological anthropology in a medical legal setting. So we typically are called in to assist with identification and analysis of skeletal remains.
And how does that come into play sort of with what we're seeing unfold with Lake Mead and these discoveries?
These discoveries will require a forensic anthropologist to investigate them, since they would be skeletonized, and they are skeletonized. So the forensic anthropologist can look at the skeletal remains and identify the sex assigned at birth, the age, the stature, and they can evaluate any sort of trauma or injury that might have happened at or around the time of death. And so all of that will be really important in identifying the individual, and also will assist in determining the cause and manner of death.
And so last time we talked, I had emailed you photos of this bone that a family provided us. They said they found this bone, and you gave me your opinion, which was
that the bone was a human femur.
And we had discussed how there was some confusion, and it was not investigated as a human bone. It was investigated as an animal bone. Now, the Park Service is saying they've given that bone back to the medical examiner's office to investigate. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's great that they were able to locate it and that it will be investigated. It would be, as we discussed before, a tragedy if a missing person was never identified because of this error. So it's great that the bone will be analyzed and potentially identified as somebody.
Does it matter that time is lost since it wasn't investigated that way as soon as it was found?
It shouldn't necessarily affect the forensic anthropological analysis, since it was presumably a relatively old case anyway. Since the remains are fully skeletonized, that takes a little time. So as long as the bone was stored properly and there was, chain of custody, none of that should affect too much the progression of the case and a successful resolution.
And sort of what I was looking into is a mistake was made, and when it wasn't initially investigated as a human femur, and I showed it to you, I showed it to a couple of other forensic anthropologists who you all agree that there was no question this was a human femur. So sort of what happens when a mistake like that is made? Like, what oversight is there for medical examiners or forensic anthropology? What?
It can vary. So it can depend on the office and sort of the standard operating procedures that they follow. And then it can also vary on whether it's a coroner system or a medical examiner system. So the coroner medical examiner, depending on the county, will oversee that death investigation. So they might have policies in place for oversight within their own offices, like quality assurance or peer review. So those sorts of things can try to help ensure that mistakes aren't made, and that if they are, that they're identified and rectified.